Day 5.4, Part B. Today we're going to be talking again about first versus last effects. So we're going to start out this section with a question. Think about the first time you experienced general last effects. Describe what it felt like. What process were you engaged in? Who were you with? What happened as a result of this experience? When I first awakened to feeling general last effects, I experienced a tingling sensation that kind of felt like this sound. I sensed those effects were communicating that my general last cause was aware of me and watching over me, which meant a great deal to me during those times of my life. Throughout my childhood and teens, I experienced it a number of times when listening to music that sung about my general last cause and his general process to obtain joy. It was an undeniable increase of energy in my spirit and body. Now, 35 years later, I still remember it. Think about an event when you experience general last effects at the most intense level you have ever felt. Describe the feeling. What process were you engaged in? Who were you with? And what happened as a result of this experience? Over time, I experienced general last effects more intensely within my heart, or you could say my solar plexus. The duration of these effect events increased as I drew closer to my general last cause in my relationship with him. They lasted for several minutes and left an indelible impression upon my soul and my heart. Because of the intensity of the effects and the inherent sweetness of the message they always conveyed, tears usually came to my eyes. And again, I've never forgotten these experiences. The more times I've experienced general last effects, the more I've come to recognize them. I've become increasingly confident in my relationship with my general last cause. I know it's him. I recognize his effects, and I can rely upon them more heavily for guidance in my desire obtainment processes. So how well can you read your general effects? How conversant are you in your general last causes language? When you experience general last effects, how do you respond to them? Think about the times when you've experienced general last effects and what meaning or truth was conveyed to you at that time. What realizations came to you for the first time? And how did this help you with your responsibilities and in your relationships? There came a time when I started to respond more actively to my general last effects, thereby affecting my cause in return. Now I have the habit of responding all the time. Specifically, I may respond to what he has said, continuing the conversation. Generally, I respond with what I can only call a heart hug of appreciation. I turn and look at him with my spiritual eyes, acknowledging that I know it's him communicating to me, and I appreciate him doing that. When I learned to do this, the effects I experienced became steadily more powerful over time. I not only experienced peace, but also energy like I never experienced before. During specific close communication and interaction with my general last cause, I experienced these effects like waves of energy upon the shores of my heart. They're continually crashing over and over again. Restraining my tears is not an option. They just come. I literally cry for joy. It's the best feeling in the world. Nothing compares to it. It's so clean and pure, yet so intense and powerful at the same time. And it is lasting. The only thing that limits its duration is my own ability to maintain it. These events are lasting because they're combined with real meaning, with truth. So when my soul combines with truth, at the level I'm able to receive, I experience these general last effects, and there is nothing better. The more frequently I interact with my general last cause, the more intense the effects I experience. So they're not only felt, but they're also heard in my mind or seen in my mind's eye. For example, sometimes my general cause gives me a complex thought or an image that is pure meaning. I have difficulty explaining it with words or even putting it into diagrams. It's like pure intelligence. The combination of these thoughts or images and the effects I have come to recognize through experience that belong to my general cause gives me evidence that this idea, the idea I'm entertaining, belongs to him, and thus it is true. It has taken time to train my mind to stay with his, especially when I'm interacting with other people. But the degree that I do stay, or at least desire to stay, describes my inherent balance and defines my intensity. How frequently do you turn your thoughts to your general last cause? If you desire to increase the intensity of the general last effects that you experience, are you striving to increase the communication relationship, the frequency of that, with your general last cause? Since our general last cause interacts with us at our inherent balance, we are able to identify which kinds of effects we prefer by developing our relationship with him first. Once we know what that balance is, we're able to sense which specific causes are balanced with us. Because it takes time for us to develop our relationship with our general last cause and to assess specific causes, it's not wise to commit ourselves physically or spiritually at too young of an age to any specific cause. At that age, the only causes we can rely on are our parents and the other specific causes they have come to trust. We can actually physically bind ourselves to a specific cause by interacting with him at too intense a level, at too young of an age, before we even know for sure if he is balanced with our inherent balance. We may not even know our inherent balance yet. A physically bonded relationship between two people who are not spiritually balanced ends in bondage or virulent sorrow. Are you developing your relationship with your general last cause as your number one priority? Do you know who you are? Further conflict arises when a general first cause is lying in wait for those who have not yet identified their inherent balance. Children are especially susceptible to first effects. They are easily deceived into leaving the protective care of a general last cause in exchange for the here and now first effects. Northeast and Northwest first effects can be packaged to appear completely innocent and full of ready enjoyment, excitement, and affection. If we are consuming general first effects, then we'll never know if we're satisfied or not. Are you being deceived by first causes? Are your children? So here's the name of the game, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I think this is worth repeating. When we develop our relationship with our general cause, we develop our effect sensors through experimenting on his real last effects at our inherent balance. This is how we know who we are. Then we interact with specific causes. We can sense their effects through their processes. We don't have to go too deep to feel these and evaluate them. We give it time. If the effects we experience in our specific relationships are consistent and incremental to our level of satisfaction, we can be sure we are headed towards sustainable joy. But again, we have to give that time. And don't go too deep. Since this level changes when we draw closer to our general cause, our inherent balance changes, it's important for us to have spent a considerable amount of time developing that relationship before specific ones. Otherwise, conflict will arise. This process is true for every relationship we establish with specific causes, from teen dating to the selection of a church to the selection of a spouse. General first effects are imbalanced, conflicting effects that originate with a general first cause. General last effects are balanced, desirable effects originating with a general last cause. We want to avoid the first and cleave to the last. But more specifically, a general last cause provides a range of effects within the Northwest and Northeast thresholds between first and last. So that's specific first and last effects. Exact last effects are along the northern vertical axis. First effects begin mixing with them at the first degree of separation from this axis. If we go too far to the northwest or northeast of the general threshold, we will not be able to sustain our process until we obtain our desired results. So our process is like this spinning top. We have some room to tilt to the right or to the left, and we still won't fall. But when we start deviating too far, the balance can no longer be maintained, and thus our process will end. And basically that means we can't obtain the results, the desired results. A general cause does not arbitrarily choose when our process is too far to the northwest or to the northeast. It is a principle of physics that applies to both physical and spiritual relationships. Do you understand that the reason you're experiencing last effects is that your general last cause literally has a last desire for you?